I had no idea Mr. Holmes' injuries were so extensive. What is his condition?
Tolerable, though we won't answer a direct question and rattles on most peculiarly from time to time. However, the party you addressed is not Mr. Holmes.
I beg your pardon?
The gentleman in white is not Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes is in bed 3, as you can see for yourself.
Ah, yes, of course, to be sure. Has Mr. Holmes said or done anything that you can tell me about?
Well, mostly he's a lamb, Mr. Holmes is. And if he continues to be a good boy, I'll give him another dose of morphine.
I think he has had quite enough medication. Hello, Mycroft. It's John Watson. Sister treating you well?
What's that? Who's there? Oh, Doctor, fine. Flit on, cheering angel. She is not, I mean. Tin shoes, huh?
Sherlock's in a funk, sir. I'm trying to revive him. Can you help?
Ask me to be he who kills a misery. Not free to be, don't flee. Where's the key? A former tree. Who's the key? What? How? Treachery. Mendacity. If he's free, he should see if I have the key, or I ought to be. He just might see conspiracy. Privacy.
Oh, it's a terrible thing to hear a grown man speak drivel.
If you don't mind, sister, I'd appreciate a bit of privacy.
Well, excuse me, I'm sure.
I'll tell Sherlock you're in good hands.
Please, don't interfere with the patient, sir. No touching. Very unsanitary.
Will you please bring Mr. Holmes some fresh water?
I mustn't leave the ward. My patients depend on me.
Please make an exception. I'll watch your patients. I'm a doctor.
Very well. Anywise, I'm perishing for a cup of tea.
I'll try to put this to good use, Mycroft.
You took your time, Doctor. I was about to send out a search party.
Thank you, matron. As always, you are the soul of civility.
Well, why didn't you say you was a member? Save us both some aggro.
No need to take unnecessary risks. That pile of rubble could collapse at any time. No need to take unnecessary risks. That pile of rubble could collapse at any time. Intriguing. This residue reminds me of some bad business I saw in the army.
Dr. Watson, you should be ashamed of yourself. You'll have to get out. None but authorized persons are allowed.
Horrible mess, no? I think if I warm a sample in a sulfide bath, a black precipitate would provide confirmation.
What in blue blazes was that? Are you trying to kill us?
I'm trying to satisfy your partiality for proofs, and I wanted your attention.
You have it.
My experiment confirmed that residue I recovered from the Diogenes was explosive fulminate. A gas main was ruptured, it exploded, but that explosion was caused by an incendiary device.
Let me gather my thoughts, Watson. I am beginning to suspect a strange and peculiarly terrible chain of events. And, Doctor, thank you for showing me my duty. Fulminate of mercury. The black precipitate is decisive. Mycroft felled by a bomb. Damnable villains. An outrageous and unconscionable act. The misbegotten maggots. If I had them before me, I could not be trusted.
Have you been ingesting stimulants, Holmes? Let me have some tea brought up.
I'm as sober as Carrie Nation, Watson, and more determined. Let us get on with it. I will have the fiends who tried to kill my brother. Take your pistol, will you, Watson? There's no telling what this case will bring.
For once I am ahead of you, Holmes. It is in my pocket.
Hello, Oggy. Anything doing?
Not enough. Give people what they want and where's a thanks. But I'll forget me manners. Condolences on your brother's demise.
Your expression is premature. Mycroft is alive.
Oh, but near death, surely. I have it on the best authority.
Your source is impeachable. Demand a refund. What more have you heard about the Diogenes Club explosion?
A working stiff don't have time for idle chatter, Mr. Holmes. Even surmise always a prize.
On principle, I never purchase information. Perhaps you can suggest how we might overcome this scruple.
Indeed I can. Ante up a shilling and we'll play a little free card Monty for the tidbit. Best 2 out of 3. You win, the info's free. Lose, it's yours for 10 bob. Eh?
Contrary to the adage, Oggy, the hand is not always quicker than the eye. Yours is prosecutably slow.
Have a heart. Keep it to yourself. Here's a nugget. 2 hard Irish lads was in the city, both of 'em familiar with the niceties of gelignite and mean enough to use it. Trashing a fancy English club might just suit their fancy.
Names? Whereabouts?
No names.
Suppose I tell the police that this game has never been on the square and that you've nicked them all.
No need to get violent. I heard those boyos was looking for a party name of Boyd something. A coal miner, I heard. That's all I got, I swear.
That may be what the police call a lead. I have to be somewhat more discriminating. A quiet watch, Constable?
As I prefer it, Mr. Holmes.
I'd like a word with Lestrade.
You're not alone, sir, but the inspector is engaged, and he's left particular orders not to be disturbed even by you.
Is Oggy still schooling you at 3-card Monte?
The man's an unnatural wizard. I never win. I'd swear he could retire to Blackpool on the brass he's taken off me.
It's a mug's game, Constable, but nobody wins all the time. You want to know the secret to Oggy's success?
Only slightly less than the Ripper's real name.
Might I see Lestrade on the strength of it?
The door is yours. Once inside, you're on your own hook.
Fine. After Oggy manipulates the cards, tell him to move away from the table. Say that if your card is not one of those face down, he's in for a stay at Pentonville. I guarantee you'll start to recoup some of your losses.
He's been bombing a card, then.
Some secrets are just too tawdry to tell, Constable. Sergeant, might I have a word with Inspector Lestrade?
You might, Mr. Holmes, if he were free, but as you see, he's not.
Dissipating his meagre talents on trivialities, no doubt.
You'd know best. If you wish to wait, you may take a seat.
When might Lestrade be available, Sergeant?
I couldn't say, sir. She's been burning his ear for a longish spell and shows no sign of weakening. I got tongue-lashed for interrupting.
What's her problem?
Claims her brother's being wrongfully detained. Flapdoodle, of course. But the inspector's going the extra mile. There have been allegations of high-handedness. He may see Gregson looking over his shoulder, if you take my meaning.
How's the family, Sergeant?
Down with the grip, Mr. Holmes. Terrible cramps. I'm far from tip-top myself.
Sorry to hear it. Might I speak with Inspector Gregson?
Of course. And might I say, sir, how sorry I am about your brother. It's out of human hands, isn't it? Terrible business, these gas explosions.
Yes, thank you, Sergeant. I'll just pop over to Gregson.
Mr. Holmes, Doctor, what can I do for you?
Has there been any news concerning the fire at the Diogenes?
The brigade confirmed our suspicions, sir. A spark of unknown origin ignited a gas main. The explosion was a regrettable accident.
What is regrettable, Inspector, is that the brigade doesn't possess the brain power to perform simple logic. As long as the cause of the spark remains unknown, the ultimate cause of the fire cannot be otherwise. May a patient's maladies be diagnosed from their ravings?
A specialist might be able to. I'll wager alcohol plays a part in this episode.
Is it current drink, a history of abuse, or a seizure?
It's a fair question.
Note the particularity of his tics and gyrations.
They are suggestive.
And the alterations of his complexion.
An even better observation. I have been as previous as the police. The man is ill, some form of epilepsy, perhaps.
Sergeant, I believe your prisoner is ill.
There's no doubt about it, Mr. Holmes. Mentally defunct, I'd say. Criminally insane. No telling what he'll get up to on the loose.
I think not. He's an epileptic. Dr. Watson will support my observation.
Well, I'm loath to contradict you, Mr. Holmes. But your say-so just don't cut it in this instance. The bloke's loopy.
Sergeant, has the elderly female party become a permanent fixture?
You might say, Mr. Holmes. She used to char here. Now she thinks we're guests in her parlour. Haven't the heart to disabuse her.
Is Lestrade inside?
I assume. He's not obliged to inform me of his comings and goings, Mr. Holmes. Go in if you wish.
Sergeant, what's in the evidence chest at the moment?
No fishing expeditions, Mr. Holmes. You know better. Let's just say everything in there is accounted for.
Sergeant, are you familiar with the Encyclopedia Britannica?
The greatest collection of book learning on earth, my dear pa always said.
That's as may be. I believe its articles on medicine are considered authoritative.
Next to God, they're all the truth there is, sir. Pa said so.
If you'd like to save the inspector's reputation from careening downhill and protect the yard from litigation for unlawful arrest, you should know of the latest research on epilepsy. Pay special attention to the sections on grand mal and psychomotor seizures. That man is sick.
Jensen, the man in the lockup, may be epileptic. Look up grand mal seizures in the EB and convey your findings to Inspector Lestrade.
Right away, Sarge.
God! Have the incarcerated gentleman cleaned up immediately and release him to his sister's custody. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Another scandal here would be damaging.
Sergeant, might I speak to Lestrade, please?
Of course. Inspector, Mr. Holmes to see you. Mr. Holmes, Doctor.
You're finally ready to resume your duties, Lestrade?
I appreciate your assistance on that medical matter, Mr. Holmes, but the arch tone is out of order. What can I do for you?
Evidently nothing, even though there is more to the Diogenes disaster than the pathetic official examination has divulged.
Suspicions are your trade, Mr. Holmes. Proof pays the bills in police business.
Proof? I'll give you proof. If your people...
We wondered, Inspector, if...
I'm perfectly capable of speaking for myself, Watson. If you won't investigate the explosion further, you might at least assist me.
How?
Give me carte blanche at the explosion site and the morgue. Something sinister is going on, Lestrade, if only you had the wit to see it.
I will ignore the insult in deference to your fragile emotional state. If you want to waste your time, I won't stop you. But you'll excuse me if I don't squander my department's resources to gratify your overdeveloped and theoretic suspicions.
Without well-founded supposition, Lestrade, reason staggers and the mind dies. You might remember that.
Mm-hmm.